What's up? What's going on, YouTube? It's your guy Chip Away, or I could say it's your guy Chip. You know what I mean? And today I wanted to welcome y'all to my other channel. You know where I'll be discussing a lot more serious topics here and so forth and so on. And today, I wanted to come at y'all. I wanted to come at y'all on the topic of looks. You know, because we hear about looks all the time. Um, you know, we hear the word handsome, we hear pretty, we hear cute, we hear beautiful, we hear gorgeous, we hear sexy, we hear all these different words that actually describe looks. It describes looks, and I would like to just give a little breakdown of what all that can be about, or and what that and what and what it can mean and things of that nature. um Now, I would like to start off by saying this. Um, Looks is a subjective thing. Um, Looks is a subjective thing, and that's why you can be so attracted to somebody, and let's say it's your friend, and your friend, or even if it's not your friend, but another person can not be attracted to that person at all. Where now you're looking at this person and you like, damn, you know, she look good. You know what I mean? Like if you're a guy or whatever, you're like, damn, she look good. Oh shit, damn, like she bad or whatever. But your boy might not feel the same. He might look at you and just be like, oh hell no. Or she's not, she's not, I don't see what you see in her or whatever. She's not all that, or she's just okay or whatever like that. He may feel like that, and not only are you entitled to your opinion, he's entitled to his own opinion as well. you know um so when it comes to looks, opinions definitely, it varies. It varies. I've done had women at times that have, it was like I was like the best thing since sliced bread to them. It was like, oh, you're handsome, or you're cute, or so forth and so on. And I was showered with a lot of attention in those situations, and it still happens to me from time to time to this day. But with that same thing being said, I've had women that it seemed like I wasn't even there. you know um I've had times where I wasn't necessarily the guy that she was um drooling over. you know um yeah, it was like I wasn't the best thing since sliced bread to her. So with that being said, it just goes to show you how, yes, it is a subjective thing. you know um People are attracted to different kinds of looks. Different kinds of looks. um like me, if I could give an example, like me, when it comes to women, um, I'm very much attracted to like, it can even go get intricate. It can even go down, it can even get intricate, and it can even be, you know, um, it could just be, it could be the way the person's face is shaped. Like me, I tend to be attracted to a woman with square faces. I love women with square faces and angular jaws. She has like angular jaws, and she has like a square face, and and if she's good looking by at least my standards, that's what I tend to be drawn to. That's what I tend to be attracted to, and we're just talking about the face here. You know, um, you know, I like high cheekbones. I like that too. Um, I love full features, full lips, a broader nose. Now some people now. With that being said, some people are different. Some people like there's people that's attracted to more oval faces. A face that's maybe a little bit more oval shaped. They may not like high cheekbones. They may not like angular jaws. You know, um, you know what I'm saying? They may not like broader, fuller features. They may like king features. They may like king features. Like for me, I'm very attracted to a woman with strong, kind of prominent features. You know what I mean? Like I like features when it comes to my woman. I love strong looking features, a very strong jawline, very prominent um strong features, very high cheekbones, and you know um chiseled features and things of that nature. That's just what I tend to be more drawn to. Um, but like I said, everybody's not attracted to that. There's some people that like more, they're a little bit more into baby faces. You know, if she got a baby face and she just looks, you know, youthful and innocent, there's some men that just go gaga for that. They just lose it for that. And they love it. And if that's your thing, it's cool. Nothing is wrong with that. You know what I mean? It is a subjective thing. You know. So what we find attractive is something that it varies. But depend on who you ask. Um, it's a cultural thing. Like even when you go beyond, even when you go beyond the face, like with a lot of black men, I would say, in the urban areas, a lot of us tend to be attracted to women with um thick bodies and big fat asses. Like we are just, and I'm just being blunt here because I want my channel to be real and blunt. I don't want to sugarcoat nothing. We all grown, we all adults. So yeah, so a lot of us in the urban areas, a lot of us black men in the urban areas, if she's thick and she got, she has a big ass, a whole lot of junk in the trunk, as they say, like if she got that, that's like she's like golden. She is like in the urban areas. For a lot of us black men, she is like, if not most, I would say for most, but if not most, for a lot of us black men, she's golden. That is like this, the standard of beauty. But you can go into other cultures and other areas where that's not necessarily the primary preferred look. You get what I'm saying? It's not necessarily, they can find, you have men that find women with slim bodies to be the most attractive. Women that did not, they don't have like, they don't have a ton of junk in the trunk. They don't have, the big ass. They don't, they're more slim built than things of that nature. Um, so yes, you have men, from all over that you really wouldn't really prefer that. And then you have men from all over that would prefer the type of woman that I'm attracted to, and like I said, especially in the urban areas, So but back to just talking about the face, as there is known in this day and time, with the young kids and everything, it's called the face card. you know, um, because I'm 35, by the way, so some of the younger slang, I gotta, catch up on, but yeah, it's known as the face card, and yes, that's something. That's the way that basically kind of goes. Like, you can also even get certain things off the way you look. If you go somewhere, like I could give an example. Just recently, I worked, and I went down to a job because I don't necessarily work a 9 to 5 job, but I work, the elections when they come up, and I went down, and when it was time for me to work a few months back, and I went down and I go to the job. Now, I originally have only 4 days to work. I originally only have 4 days to work or whatever on the job. But because I went down there and I was neat, and I, made sure I showered, um, I was neat and I was clean, and my hair look a little messy now because I usually wear my hair in braids. I just, took my braids out or whatever like that. I'll be getting my hair braided soon. But I went down, my hair was braided neatly and nice, and, I went down there, um, looking, up to par. And I actually winded up getting extra days because of it. Now this was the first time I've actually worked down at that place, so it's not like I knew anybody or I had any connections or anything like that, but I made sure I went down there neat, well groomed and put together, and I wound up getting, a whole extra 3 days, so, and that's the benefit that looks can, because I go down there, and I'm told, I'm like, yeah, I go down there and I'm told, and they're like, he's the guy, he asks me, he's like, oh, so for do you want to work extra days or whatever like that, and I'm like, yeah, I want to work extra days. I don't mind working extra days, but he had basically a way of basically telling me, like, okay, so because he asked me how old I was, and I told him I was 35, years old, and he was like, yeah, he asked me how old I was, and I told him I was 35. He was like, oh yeah, okay, he was like, oh, you look good, like, just basically saying, like, okay, you look well put together, and you look like you take care of yourself, and things of that nature, you know um you look like you put yourself together. I took the time to do that, you know and I had situations, with a few of the women where, oh, oh, you a handsome guy, and so forth and so on, but you're cute, and things of that nature, and so forth and so on, and oh, if I be like, one, she was mad cool. Me and her is real cool. She was very cool, and she was like just saying how sometimes, you know she'll just kind of tell, the bosses or whatever like that, if they assign somebody to work with her, she'll just say, oh, really, if she didn't like the way that they presented themselves, she'll let them know it. And she'll let the bosses know, but she told me personally, like, oh, basically like saying, oh, like, she was like, I'd be like, sometimes, if they come down here and they're not really, represented. And she told me that she'll tell, basically what she'll tell the boss is, oh, I don't like the way he presented himself. I don't like his face or whatever. I don't like the way he presented himself or this or that. But it just goes to show you how looks can be very, yes, it can make a difference, and she basically telling me like, okay, yeah, I like the way you present yourself. I like, how you carry yourself, how you need, and I like your face, and and I just say all that just to say, yes, it can make a difference. It can make a difference, and it is a subjective thing. Now I mean, that is a very real thing. It is something that people can judge you on at times, and sometimes you can't get things, off the way that you look, so and now does that mean that every woman find me to be the best looking guy? No. It doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that I'm every woman's cup of tea, or I could go to any job and, and completely just necessarily get an extra few amount of days off of that. Yeah, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean everybody will find me to be handsome or every woman will find me to be cute. It doesn't mean that. She might look at me and just say, oh, he's all right, or he's not the best looking, one of the best looking guys to me, or he's okay, or this or whatever she would feel, or even if she didn't feel either one of those, but, yeah, and that's how it basically goes. So as you can see, yeah, I got the extra 3 days off of how I went presented and how I dressed and off for, the look that I have and so forth and so on. But it's one of those things, and also you have to find, it's also about, being appealing in other ways. Never underestimate how you're dressed and how you're neat. Even if you're not in the most expensive clothing, never underestimate how how you're presenting yourself. Things like being groomed and taking care of your hygiene and, smelling nice and things like that can make a difference at times. It can make a difference, and things of that nature. So, yeah, looks, like I say, is not something that you want to obsess over. You don't necessarily want to obsess over looks, over something that you only have such little control over, because we're all God's children, and you should learn how to embrace what God gave you, regardless of what he made your face look like. You should learn how to embrace what God gave you, and be comfortable and within your own skin, it's okay, what you look like, it's okay. That's the face that God gave you. Embrace it and be comfortable within your own skin. Now some people go as far as, when it comes to looks, some people go as far as getting plastic surgery. And they'll go as far, they'll go as far as, getting plastic surgery. And I've seen some jobs that was just, where it didn't go too well. It didn't go too well and things of that nature. So if that's something that you're going to do, I would say you would have to it would be in your best interest to take, the proper procedures, and steps towards, having a successful surgery. If that's something that you want to do and you want to, you want to enhance this on about yourself or that about yourself, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as well, but but there's nothing wrong with as well if you just want to just embrace what what you look like and what the face that God gave you. That's cool, and there's nothing wrong with that as well, but yeah, and that's basically, it in a nutshell, and that's basically what I wanted to just share about looks, and when it comes to looks, and and on how it can make a difference. Sometimes it can give you a little ego boost, and you can say, okay, well, I got a few compliments today, or she called me handsome, or this or that, so forth and so on. It is something that we can be judged off. It is something that people notice first, and people can make assumptions and pre-notions about, and and things of have pre-notions about, and things of that nature. And people are attracted to different looks, different sizes, different shapes, different heights, and things of that nature. So, what you like is what you like, and it's fine. You don't have to let anybody, push what they like on you, what they're attracted to on towards you. If that's not your cup of tea, if that's not something that does it for you, if, it just doesn't do it for you, it just doesn't hit that spot for you, then it just doesn't hit that spot for you. It just doesn't hit that spot for you. So, yeah, and that's basically, what I wanted to share. And last but not least, is also something that can cause a lot of jealousy and envy. Yeah, it's a very real thing. It's something that could definitely cause jealousy and envy. I think women tend to experience that a little bit more because, when it comes to woman, beauty is such a focal point, but it can cause, even amongst men, it can cause jealousy and envy, or can intensify the jealousy and envy. You ever wonder why maybe, a person was so starkly, vehemently against you? It might just be because not only is he envying you for this, but he may be envying you because of your looks, or because of your looks or whatever like that. It just intensifies it because now he's like, okay, not only do you have this, but you have this image, by his standards of what he feel would be attractive. You have this image or whatever like that, or it could be she, she could feel, you have this image that, that generates envy, or makes her hate on you harder, or makes him hate on another guy harder, or makes her hate on another female harder, so yeah, it is something that, that's very real, and it does happen. It does happen, but that's basically all I really wanted to share today on that topic. I will be speaking, as I said, welcome to the channel. I will be posting a lot of, more heavier, serious topics, and just discussing an array of things, that I felt needs to be said. I would like to speak on and share my views on it. So, I want everybody out there to have a great day and take care of yourselves. Be safe. If you like the video, you can, feel free to comment, and subscribe to the page, and yeah, and that's just what I wanted to share about the whole look thing. So, all right, guys, it's that guy, it's the guy Chip, and everybody be good out there, See you when I see you. Peace out.